2. Okay, so to get started with PixInsight, the first thing that I do is I always run Blink. What Blink will do is allow us to go through and look at our images to make sure that we have good solid images. So normally to get started with that, I just highlight over the Process Explorer, and then I'll just type in Blink. It'll come up, you click on it, and then you can just double click on it, and it'll launch Blink. So this is Blink. And what we want to do with Blink is open up our lights and look at them. So you just click on the Add Image File button down here and click on it. And then what we're going to do is browse to our folder with the images. And then basically we're going to highlight all our lights and add them in. So we'll click on the top light, scroll down, use our Shift key to highlight all of them, and then hit Open. And then what it's going to do is it'll go ahead and open up all the images. So once all the images are open, the next thing that I like to do is I like to click on this histogram button up here, and what it does is it does an auto stretch on all the images so they're all identical. So even if some of your images are brighter or darker, they'll all be the same lightness for the most part. Next, what I do is I like to expand my screen a little bit, so I'll just click on it and open it up a little bigger. And what we're going to do is zoom into the image a little bit. So you can use the plus buttons over here to zoom in if you want. You can use your mouse to scroll in, or what I like to do is I like to hit the Control 1 on my keyboard, so the Control key plus 1, and it'll open up and zoom into our image. So here's the Rosette Nebula. This is not modified files at all. This is just straight from the camera. And when we stack everything, the colors will come out, and we'll see everything that's in there. Because again, this is a one-shot color, and I use the ZWO ASI 533 MC Pro. So in here, what we're looking for is bad stars, and what we want to do is remove any of these bad images so that we're not integrating bad images with our final stack. So you want to look in here and look for stars and look around the stars and make sure that all the stars look really good. And what I'll do is I'll click on the top one and I'll work my way down with the arrow key and basically go to each one. Now, when you're looking in here, you may see stuff like little dots and little pixels. This is all stuff that's going to get pulled out of the image when we integrate it, when we're using the weighted batch process, which I'll walk through here in our next video. So basically what we're doing is just trying to make sure we've got good images. And I've gone through this. I was fortunate enough to shoot 3 hours straight on this the other night on the Rosette Nebula, and all these images came out really, really good. It was perfect guiding. There was no wind. Everything was just kind of lined up the way it was supposed to be. So, but what you can do is go through in here and look at the images. And as you'll notice, the image is moving a little bit. That's because I'm dithering every picture that I take, because I'm doing 10-minute exposures with each image that I'm taking. So you just want to go through here again and look and see if there's any bad images. At this point, the image flipped because the meridian flipped, so that's why it flipped. Essentially, you just want to go through and make sure they're good. Now, if you were doing this on your own data and you found a bad image, what you can do is click on that set image, and then basically there's this little button down here which will move the selected folder to a new location so that we're not using it. So if you clicked on it, you could basically browse to a folder, and I set up a folder in here called Bad Lights, and you can just choose it and hit the Open button. And it happens really quick, and it moves the file out. So if we look at the process console real quick, it shows that it moved the file from images into the Bad Lights folder. And once I do that when I'm working with a big stack of images, what I'll do is I'll uncheck that image that I moved, and I'll go through and keep cleaning them all up. And then once they're all done, I'll highlight the different images with Control and click, because you can click around on different images here. And what I'll do is all the ones that are unchecked, I know which ones those are, and I'll click on it, and then essentially I'll remove it, and it closes that image so that I'm not worried about going back and looking at that image because I know I've already moved it out. So just trying to think logically about the process in terms of keeping the images out when you're doing the final stack. So that's basically Blink. Before we stop it, what I want to do here is we're going to go back, because that's not a bad light, and we're going to take that bad light and we're going to go ahead and move it over real quick back to the folder that it was in. So let's go back here to the desktop and go to Images, and we're just going to move this back over because it's not a bad light. Again, it was just for demonstration purposes, so make sure that you get that light back in here. So That's basically Blink and the overview of Blink. When you're done and you've gone through all the images and you feel good about them, you can just close out of that in Blink. And then what we're going to do is get started on the next process, which is the weighted batch processing.